If you've ever found yourself spiraling down a late night rabbit hole of what am I meant to do and why haven't I found it yet? And let's be honest, who hasn't? Then you're in the right place. I'm Theresa White, career clarity expert and 5-time certified career coach, and I'm here to help you navigate the question of how to find a career that truly lights you up. On Career Clarity Unlocked, we're all about those light bulb moments. I'm talking to people who are still trying to figure out what they're meant to do, coaching them live to reach that magical, yes, this is it moment. And we'll also hear from those who've already found their dream careers and figure out exactly how they did it. Whether you're looking for inspiration or actionable advice on finding a career you love, I've got you covered. Time to unlock some career clarity. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Career Clarity Unlocked. Today, we're talking about one of those career skills that everyone says matters, but nobody really teaches you how to do it without it feeling awkward. And that obviously is networking. Because if you're honest, so many of us hear, oh, you should go network. And we picture a room full of strangers, sweaty palms, and just seeing that one person who somehow looks confident and polished, while all you're doing is just trying to remember your own name. But what's so important to know is that networking is not about being the loudest in the room or about having a perfect elevator pitch. Networking is really about being seen. And that is especially true if you are switching careers, if you are trying to start over in a new place, or if you feel like you have experience, but it isn't translating on paper. So in this episode, we're getting super practical about how to build genuine connections, how to be in the room where they're hiring, even if you're not literally in the room, and how to stop networking from feeling like cringe and performative awkwardness, and instead start making it feel like a real, natural human conversation. And I am so excited because today joining me is Shreya Mehta. She is a recruiter turned career and professional growth coach who has made it her mission to help job seekers, immigrants, and professionals in transition land meaningful roles and build lasting careers. With experience in talent acquisition and HR, Shreya has guided thousands of individuals through the complex job search, LinkedIn optimization, and interview preparation journey. She is passionate about helping people discover their impact, tell their story with confidence, and find the work culture where they truly thrive. Let's get into it. Welcome, Shreya.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, I can't wait for this conversation. And let's start at the very beginning. I'm so curious how your journey unfolded. And especially, was there ever a time where you felt invisible or overlooked in your career? And is there anything that shifted for you there so that you did feel seen again?
Yeah, and that's such a great question, right? So, just a little backstory. I've been in States for around 10 years, and I was a finance manager back in India. When I moved here, I decided to kind of switch careers, and I did my MBA in marketing and leadership. Maybe that was a little time when I felt a little unseen because I was talking a lot about like transferable skills. How do I bring everything about finance and what I did back in India to everything new, which is now recruiting, entrepreneurship, coaching, and then how do I talk about like my previous life to this current life that I was building? So that was a little time when I definitely did feel unseen because I did not have a huge personal brand. I did not have a lot of professional experience that would directly connect with recruiting. So what really, really worked well is one, networking well with people, because that
Mm.
way I was not just somebody or a candidate on paper or through my LinkedIn. I was also right there in front of them, sharing more about the strengths that I have, the kind of work that I have done, not just scope of work, but also the depth of my work. So I think that made it more like seen over a period of time. And also, um, that shifted a lot of like who I want to be and who I am becoming in a very early, career stages here in US. So I think just creating that personal brand, one, and second, just being out there having more conversations with people were like what I would probably say like gold for me at the early ages.
I love that you really leaned in building building relationships and having conversations with people so
Mm.
that they get to know you.
Yeah.
And you didn't you didn't have the perfect resume, right? You were making a change location wise as well as career change wise.
Yeah.
In what way were you able to build that network or to build relationships? And there's so many times people are like, I don't even know how
Mm.
to start the conversation.
Yeah.
How did you open those doors when you first started?
So first, I think it starts with the mindset. I was okay being uncomfortable. I was okay being in a room full of strangers or people who were intimidating because of their professional journey or because of how confident they were or because how they knew what they were doing versus me just finding it out, figuring it out, right? So I think it started with that piece first. And then second, just being in the room with people, right? Going without a goal sometimes as well, or going without sometimes a set of questions as well that, okay, this is what I'm going to ask from these people. So one, finding the right networking rooms, networking opportunities, either through my college because I did my MBA here. So I had like that huge circle and community already, which I just had to tap on. But for somebody who doesn't have that college, not doing a degree here, I think the good thing is going on Eventbrite, going on Luma, or going on Meetup, like sites like this, and finding networking opportunities and just be there in the room, right? Now, when you go out there, you obviously have questions like, wait, what would I talk about, right? What would I say when they ask, what am I doing? Because I'm switching careers. I don't know. I've been in a gap for so long, or I'm transitioning from being a program manager to a product manager. You don't always have to share everything about yourself. For 2 minutes, you can, who you are and what brings you here. And then you can just listen in, lean in, and get more interested. There were so many things I didn't know about the US job market in the first 6 months when I came here versus what all I know. It's all through like listening and getting interested and asking great follow up questions. So I would say just one, being in a room full of opportunities has helped to build that presence, that visibility, that personal brand. But then, second, just being very uncomfortable and being in a room where you see opportunities, just going in to just learn and maybe nothing more.
I love that. And it's so brave. It is so brave to go in a room, be uncomfortable, and be
Mm.
surrounded by people that you don't know
Yeah.
and that you might be intimidated by, and you go there anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And that actually helps us learn a lot more, right? Because if I am uncomfortable, I'm already one step ahead of everybody else who's uncomfortable and decided to not be in that room, right? So one step already
Yeah.
done. Second is just having those conversations. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? You'll probably fumble, you'll probably stammer, you'll probably make a fool of yourself, but maybe more chances of the other person remembering you because then you can just be like, hey, remember I fumbled when I first met you? I'm doing a lot better now. How about you? Right? So that's a very good conversation starter as well because you're okay um being a little not perfect.
Yeah. And that makes you stand out way more.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
much more remember the people there that have personality or that are authentic than the people that are absolutely perfect and polished.
right. And believe me, like if people are not loud about it, I would be loud about it that I would 100% reach out to somebody who's more authentic, more relatable than somebody who's not, right? I would remember them more. I would want to have a conversation with them more because then there is no effort there. It's
I
just a
agree.
conversation.
I
Yeah,
agree. Yes. Now that I think so much has shifted, or we all know so much has shifted through COVID,
yeah,
that
yeah.
so much of the networking moved from in person to virtually.
Oh my
What
God.
is your take on that? I feel like it's easy, especially, and maybe I'm overgeneralizing here, but for introverts to hide behind a screen and lean
Yeah.
into the online networking. What
Mm.
is your take on virtual networking versus in-person networking?
Yeah, and that's a very good point, right? And I would generalize it with you as well that, introverts need that fuel or they need time to refresh from the social bonding, right? I would call myself like somewhere in middle with, introvert and extrovert. So there are two things that really work well in terms of virtual networking. So is it better than in person? I wouldn't compare either. They have pros and cons, right? Because with in person, you need more time, you need more commitment, the way you dress up, the way you speak. Wait, I need to figure out dinner, I need to figure out family, other meetings, everything, right? So it's a lot more commitment in person. But if you're thinking about virtual, it's a easy, quick start, right?
Mm.
But the good thing is, if you're going in any virtual networking or webinars, also for that matter, where you're just learning, always keep your cameras on. have name that suggests that, okay, who you are, right? Sometimes I write like Shreya Mehta and the super coach. That means the business, the work that I do, right? So people know that, okay, wait, I know Shreya from somewhere, or I know the super coach from somewhere. So one, if you're there sitting virtually, one, that is your whole identity, your name, the way you show up, the way you show up on the video, the way you are listening, leaning in. So try being very active on that. And second, is it helpful? The virtual networking, yes, it helps break that ice in your brain. So you're not directly getting intimidated by the room full of strangers that we were talking about, versus you're getting intimidated step by step, and that's easier sometimes for a lot of us, right? So I would say yes, start with that. There are a lot of webinars that happen online. If you go find it again, like Meetup, Luma, Eventbrite, even on LinkedIn, you would find a lot of these content creators just doing a lot of webinars to help you through your career, through your next step, through entrepreneurship, anything that you're looking for. That's a good room to be in. And even if you connect with two people one to one through DMs and be like, hey, I see that you're in the same room that I am. I would love to connect. And then I'll go and find you on LinkedIn, right? Even if you get like two people and two good connections, to continue that conversation from that 1 hour of webinar, you're solid. You don't need to know all 500 people in that webinar.
Yeah, I agree. That's beautiful. A beautiful way to look at is,
Yeah.
and the other way I also look at it is, who are the people that you want to be in the room with, and where are they? Are
Yeah.
they on a webinar? Perfect. Go to that webinar. Are they meeting
Yeah.
in person? Get out of your comfort zone and
Yeah.
go there, even if it's so scary. Right? As you
Right.
said, what's really the worst thing that can happen is that you might be uncomfortable for a little bit.
Yeah.
You can leave. If it's really
Absolutely.
terrible, you can leave. But most of the time it turns out way better than we imagine, and we
Yeah.
actually end up having great conversations and meeting people, and it's so worth it to go out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah. And the good thing is you can always tag along with people, right? In the beginning, who's asking you to just go alone and like be the hero of everybody else's story and your own story? You can always tag along with friends, 20 minutes of conversation with them or with a group, and then 20 minutes you venture out and be like, okay, meet me again in 30 minutes so I don't feel I'm alone in the room, right? And I've done that when I was in college. Three or four of us will go in the group in the beginning, and then we'll just spread out and be like, okay, meet here again in 30 minutes. So that was a very good space because then you're not that intimidated. You know that if this is not your place, you can always come back to your smaller group, right?
That's
Is this the
such
best
great
advice?
advice.
Yes. Is it is it also the worst advice? Probably yes, because you could end up being with those three people for 3 hours. All I'm saying is give yourself room to experience things.
Yeah. And maybe that's the first time you try it. You go with someone
Yeah.
just so you
Yeah.
feel safe. And then I love the idea of like, okay, let's try it for 20 minutes. We'll
Yeah.
split up for 20 minutes and there is a safe place to come back to. You know, there is someone you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you get more comfortable. And at some point, you won't need that other person anymore. You'll just be able to walk into the room and have those conversations.
Right, right. And it would definitely happen when you would get like more comfortable, because if you can do it for 30 minutes, you can always do it for 3 hours, because then you'll just get comfortable in your own skin doing these things. It would not feel, wait, there is something very strange I'm doing. I've never done this before.
I agree. And it also helps so much once you go into job interviews to have that practice. You're
Mm.
practicing talking about yourself, introducing yourself, having conversations with people that might be intimidating,
Yeah.
asking good questions. All of that gonna pay off over and over when you actually walk into a job interview.
Absolutely, because I think people are underestimating the whole idea of confidence building to experiences, right? More experiences you have, more confidence you have, and that shows up in all spaces of your life. If I'm thinking,
Mhm.
wait, I'm so confident in my professional experience, I don't have to worry about it. No, it'll start showing up in other things as well, that confidence would start bleeding in into other things, right? So the
Yeah,
same thing, if you're very confident in your personal space, in your semi-professional space, you'll automatically start getting confident in your professional space also. And that's why we say, like, do everything with so much heart that it doesn't feel like you're forcing yourself to do something.
I always say curiosity is your best friend. When
Yeah.
you just lean into curiosity, like so many times people are asking me, what are the questions I should ask? And
Yeah.
obviously, there are some questions that can be helpful to have in your back pocket. But
Yeah. Yeah.
the best questions are always, what are you genuinely curious about?
Yeah, yeah. And I know that people ask, like, hey, how was your weekend? Why are you here in the networking? You don't have to ask all of that. One of the great questions can be, what is the greatest advice you've got in your career, right?
Yeah.
Or what you wished you knew 5 years ago when you started with that company? Or what
Always
would you
love that
suggest to
question.
some, right? Or what would you suggest to somebody who's just starting up their career? Though I am not, I have 15 years of experience, but what would you suggest if I were to just start my job search, right? Or just start looking into the next role? What would you suggest? And then people will be like, wait, that's such a great question. I haven't thought about that. So, and I love saying this, always make the conversation value addition for both the parties, not just you, right?
Yes.
Because if I'm not adding value to you, your conversation and your time, you would not want to continue. You would not want to remember me. You would
Hmm.
not want to sit on another Zoom call and be like, wait, no, bro, she only talks about herself, right? I'm okay, right? There needs to be something in you as well. And I think that's one of the biggest point in networking that people forget, that they just think that, wait, it's all about me. Like, I need the job, I need a question, I have a question. But in that conversation, there are two people, and they need to feel seen, equally important, equally included in that conversation. So,
That's a really good point. And I always give the advice that people love talking about themselves. So when you ask questions like what advice would you give to someone in my position?
yeah,
What is something you wish you would have known? People love telling their story, sharing advice. And a huge, huge, huge value add that doesn't even seem like a value add. But if someone says, like, if I would start over, the first thing I would do is take this course on Coursera or read
mm,
this book. And then you go do it and come back to them and be like, I read the book. It was really good. Thank you so much for recommending it.
love that.
You're adding so much. It makes them feel so good. It's a
Yeah.
value add for them. They're like, oh, wow, this person took action on the advice I gave them.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what I call this? I call this ego boost. Because when you're speaking with them about them, there's a quick ego boost,
Mhm.
and none of us can actually be saved from the charm of an ego boost, right? If somebody would come and like tell really good things about me and my work, or how they see me, my content, the kind of personal brand that I'm building, I would be very quick in responding, fortunately, unfortunately, and I'll be like, thank you so much for the kind words, because I would feel that instant gratitude, right?
Yes.
So that's an ego boost that always helps in starting the conversation, and of course maintaining the conversation and remembering, like you were saying, which is such a great point, that now we have a conversation where I have also have value addition, that hey, she loved the book, and wait, I love this part, which one is your favorite, right? So
Exactly.
yeah,
And it keeps the conversation going.
absolutely, and which
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yes. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. Switching from networking to tapping into your experience as a recruiter. And we already talked a lot about being in the room where they're hiring. Well, we talked a lot about being in the room, but I want to also talk about being in the room where they're hiring.
Hmm, 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 hmm,
What does that really mean when you talk about being in the room where they're hiring? And how can people get there?
hmm. So, one is taking brain space, right? That means when I say being in the room where they're hiring, you don't have to be physically there. You have to be there in their brains, in their space, and they're like, wait, I met a candidate, I saw a candidate, I heard about a candidate who was really good. Maybe we should speak with them, right? So that's taking brain space, right? And where does that brain space come from? One, your visibility. That means either your personal brand or how you're showing up in front of these leaders, right? Could be from the networking event, could be from your social media profile, could be the kind of projects that you're building voluntarily and talking about it online. One is definitely that brain space. Second is those connections that we were talking about, Teresa, right? That means if I'm speaking with you and then right now you're not hiring, your company is quiet, but I'm still learning from you. We're talking about the books, we're talking about the networking events, we're talking about the conferences. And then one of these months, you have a role open and you know that it's a product manager, Shreya is a product manager, and you'll be like, wait, I don't know much about your work, but I know you're a product manager. This is a requirement that my team has. Do you think this is a good fit? Let me know if you want, and I can pass your resume along, right? That's what I would call being there in the room when they're hiring, because you are hiring, you're one of those people, and I'm in your brain. I am taking that brain space because now you remember me. Correct. So, why does that matter? Because one, what we were talking about earlier, it's very authentic. right? I am not fabricating a relationship with you just to get that referral, right?
Right.
You don't have to give me a favor. It's not a favor because now you know, wait, I've had spoken with her. She's pretty good. She'll be a good cultural fit. I don't know if she's like a professional fit. You'll have to speak with her about that, right? You've still given me that way, which is very, very natural. So,
Yeah.
is what I would say that being there in the hiring room. And third is always just speaking with more people about what do you do, or like being out there with either your comments, with either your content, with either your posts, that this is what I do, this is what I'm an expert in. And then all these people would there on LinkedIn trying to find the next candidate would already know that I know somebody, I read somebody talking about it. Let me go find them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I love that you're thinking about being in the room where they're hiring, being in their brain.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
And also, yes, there might not be the perfect job open right now, but that doesn't mean a month from now. And I'm actually curious from your recruiting experience. My background is in recruiting as well. There is
Yeah.
so, and you have such a big network with other recruiters, at least in my
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And there would often be the case where, let's stay with the project manager, where you're hiring a project manager and you have like three amazing candidates.
Yeah.
You can only hire one.
Yeah.
You talk to your recruiter friends, and someone else is like, "Oh, I'm just posted the project manager role for X, Y, and Z," and you're like, "Oh my God, I had two candidates you need to
Yeah.
meet."
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
never know where those conversations then will lead to.
Yeah, and I agree 100%, right? So you've been in that space, I've been in that space. We always share great candidates, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
and this is for everybody. If you've ever heard that, hey, if you see any role, just let me know. That means they already like you. That
yes,
means they would be the advocate of you inside the company. All you need is that advocacy. That means somebody calling your name, somebody remembering you, somebody giving you favors inside the company, right?
yes,
And recruiters probably are your best friends. If one, you were able to communicate your value, your experience really well. Second, if you treated them nice and vice versa, right?
100%.
Right? I mean, obviously,
Mhm.
like they can't treat you shit and then you expect them, expect you can't be expected to treat them nice. But all I'm saying is, if both the parties has treated each other nice, that's one. And second, if you were able to share your value and your experiences, they would definitely remember you and also share your profile with other recruiters, right? And absolutely rightly pointed, Teresa. And also, I think if I like somebody and for whatever reasons I can't hire them, right? Either the compensation is not matching, the offer is not matching, the start date is not matching. I would always keep them on my radar.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, about keeping someone on the radar, it goes both ways. And one piece of advice I often give is keep conversations going because we're all busy, right? No matter if it's a networking conversation or conversation with a recruiter, like even as a recruiter with the best intentions, you have this great candidate, you want to keep them in mind, but then life gets busy. It's 9 months later, and you've talked to hundreds of other candidates. How would you recommend for this candidate to still be in your brain, to still be the person they think about 9 months later?
Right, and which is amazing question, right? And I'm so glad that you gave me a longer duration of like 9 months rather than like 2 weeks. So I would probably say do not let them forget you in those 9 months. If you, for whatever reasons, you're not searching for a role right now, you have found another role, but you still see that person on LinkedIn, like in the same company or switching companies as well, find reasons to just say a hello to them. It could be that, hey, it has already been almost been 3 months since I last spoke with you. I've taken another job. I'm happy here. I'm settled. I just want to say a quick thank you again for making my experience so well in the interview because I know that matters to me as a candidate. So, out of nowhere, I just wanted to say thank you. A lot of gratitude, right? So, that way,
Good.
you're right there, right? Because again, it's not about you, it's so much more about them that your conversation made that experience still remember you, right? That's
Yeah.
one. Second could be if you're still searching for a role and then you haven't taken any other company, and then you can always reach out after like a couple of months and be like, hey, I know that we spoke a month earlier or on this date and the conversation was pretty good and no roles were open at that time. I do see a bunch of roles open. Let me see if you're the right recruiter, and if you're not, do you think you can make that connection? Because I know that you and I connected really well, so it felt comforting to just reach out to you, or it felt very familiar to just reach out to you first, right? Obviously, make it semi-professional. Just don't go very personal with your words. Just make it semi-professional, right? Third, I would say is if you're doing it like in 9 months, that wait, I'm very happily settled in the new company that I had, but um, there is a round of layoffs going on. I don't feel safe. I want to reconnect and rekindle with other people again. I would just go ahead and send them a message saying that, hey, almost been like over 3 quarters that we last spoke. I just wanted to again reach out and see if there are any roles open. Been like over a year. I have been in the new company, but I'm looking to switch again because of where the market is going. And I think the ABC company, let's say you look reaching out to Amazon and be like, hey, Amazon has more opportunities, especially in
Mhm.
this area, is what I see, right? So give them special reason of why you're reaching out after 9 months, right? It can't
Right.
be just plainly gratitude. Because one, don't make it only transactional. But second, if there is a transaction, there is a time sensitive transaction that you still want to do with them, do not delay it, because then if they don't reply for a week, then you're
Yeah.
gonna get be like, hey, I still wanted to talk about the role, and then instantly I would know, wait, it wasn't about me, it was about the role, right?
True.
So include that in the email itself if there is a time sensitive transaction involved in it.
That's actually a really good point. If it is transactional, be honest about that.
Yeah, yeah.
If it is a personal reach out, it's a personal reach out. But don't try to hide that part.
No, I mean, why? I like all of us humans definitely need something from each other. That's not a bad thing. How
Exactly.
you ask for it is where the whole confusion is. You
Yeah.
can and should always ask for help, right? But how you ask, do you feel privileged? Do you feel entitled for that help? Or are you actually requesting and being polite and being kind about it, right? Because I remember, and you've been in that space there, so you would know that as well. When people reach out to a recruiter and be like, hey, why are you not replying to my message? Wait, what?
Right.
Versus that, hey, I'm pretty sure you'll get like hundreds of these DMs. I'm still waiting to hear back about the interview. I would love to close this. If you're not moving forward, just let me know. Right? So you don't have to have 100 please or sorries there, but the way you ask, your tone, we can read
Huge.
as recruiters, right? And it's
Right.
not fair. So again, you should and you can always ask for help. How is where things changes.
I agree. I agree. And it's also leaving the door open for the future. So even if you didn't get selected for that role, but your message was not professional or just some too direct is not a bad thing, but too direct with no context of just why didn't you respond to my message? They
Yeah,
don't want someone in the company communicating that way with other employees. So that is not going to leave a good mark going into the future. But if you
yeah.
write a kind, respectful message and you didn't get hired, that still is positive. You carry that positive impression into the future.
Right. And I think people are a little confused that professionalism start after you sign that offer. It doesn't.
No,
It
it
starts the
doesn't.
minute you start having that conversation, the minute you write that application, your resume is the first piece of professionalism, I see.
Yeah.
Right? Your email is another very good window of how professional you are, your messages are. So when people feel that entitled to a response or entitled to a lot of things, with that wrong tone, it doesn't sit really well with the other
Yeah.
person because they already know that, wait, can I actually take them in front of the interviewers if this is how they're going to talk? It includes my credibility in it. So
Yes.
probably no, right? So
Exactly.
there, yeah, there you have it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, I think people aren't actually aware of recruiters caring about their credibility. Because when I, as a recruiter, send a candidate to the hiring manager, I want to feel confident that this candidate is going to do well, that the hiring manager is going to like the candidate. Maybe they don't hire him, but at least the hiring manager doesn't come to me after the interview and be like, why did you send this person to me? Like, what
Yeah.
were you thinking?
Yeah. 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 I mean, even if they're like technically super strong, who they are and
Yeah.
how they are really matters in the whole
Oh, yeah.
dynamic of the team. And that's why we do so many interviews with so many stakeholders to one, obviously, yes, the depth of your work, never questioning that, but also who you are with different people, who
Yes.
you are in that pressure conversations, right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's important, very
Exactly.
important.
Yeah. I want to ask you one more question on the networking, and it's one I
Yeah.
get all the time, and I'm just so curious how you answer it, and I'm
Let's
sure you
hear
get
it.
it too.
Hmm.
Candidates looking for job seekers looking for roles online and reaching out to people on LinkedIn. And they're like, okay, I sent 5 LinkedIn DMs because I was interested in that company. No one responded. Networking doesn't work.
Mm. So again, it works, right? One is, what are you saying in that message? Are you just saying, "Hi, I'm a data analyst. I see a role in your company. I need a referral," and waiting for that response? You probably will not get it, right? I see, just write the job ID, even if it's just 300 characters. I'm still talking about the 300 characters connection request, right? You can just write, "I'm interested in JD this. I have 5+ years of experience. I'm a great fit. Would love to talk more if you're open to give me a referral." Right? So you're giving them some context there. So why now? Because if I know the JD and if I see a profile, I can actually compare, do I open this window of conversation or not? Because
Yeah,
once I accept that, you're going to ask 100 times, "Can you give me a referral? Can you please give me a referral? Hey, why are you not responding? Hey, should I follow up? Here is my resume. Can you connect me with the recruiter?" Nobody wants so much of responsibilities, right? And then I know there are people, because must have happened with you, has happened with me many times, where they would get you into that guilt trip that, "Hey, you're in the company. Why can't you just help somebody who needs help? What's the point of you being in the company?" And I was like,
right.
wait, did I get employed here because I could help you? No. So you're feeling very entitled that I would help you, right? So do people respond? Yes. Do people give referrals? Yes. I know so many people who are very generous to it. But when you reach out to them, you cannot be very entitled. You cannot be, "Wait, I deserve this, I need this, I want this." You have to give it to me. So, one, give them more information in the 300 characters that you're reaching out. So, give them the JD. And because they can see your profile, they can figure it out. If the JD is asking for 7 years of experience, your profile only has three, they would probably not react to that, right?
Yeah.
But if the JD is asking for 3 years of experience, your profile kind of has 2, 3 years of experience, they could reach out to you, right? That's
Mhm.
one way. Second way to do is, I usually say that because referrals and job applications are time sensitive, try building that connection early on. That means get a list of companies or industries that you're interested in, 15, 20, 35, whatever that looks like, and start having conversations without that transaction, Teresa, first,
Yes.
right? Just connect with them. That, "Hey, I'm just broadening my network, would love to have you in my connection. I love the work that, example, Samsung does, and would like to be in the circle," right? Full stop. Nothing. People would just go and accept it. Looks harmless. I don't care. Would not reply to it. But at least that door has opened. So the next time you ask for a referral, it wouldn't look like your very first message.
Yes. Yeah.
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 So do people respond? Yes. Does
Yeah.
it matter how you message them? Yes. Does follow up matter? Yes, because life can happen. They are busy.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, your job search is not their priority. So even if they read the message, they'll be like, "Okay, I'll reply tomorrow. Wait, this is not important. I'll mark it unread. I'll star it. I'll see it tomorrow." Just go back and be like, "Hey, a soft nudge. I know that it is crazy, but would you still be able to help me?" Be very, 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 very human in your messaging.
Yes.
In being very professional, we've forgotten to being human, is what I feel sometimes,
Yeah.
Teresa.
I
Yeah.
agree. And even now with AI, so many
Ah.
people have AI write their response and copy paste in there, and it's taken all a human out of that conversation.
Yeah, so many one-to-one messages I get, they don't have my name on it. "Hi, I'm reaching out because," and I was like, "Wait, I know you're using a template. You could have been very polite to at least type my name. It's like literally 6 letters right there." Yeah,
Hmm.
only 6 letters, right?
Yes.
You could have just typed my name right there. But no, people are so busy doing that mass application, which is great, mass reach out, which is also great. They've forgotten the human connection in it completely.
Yeah.
I was just thinking opposite. With the AI, there'll be so much more human connection because now there is so much more time. I'm not crafting those templates. ChatGPT is helping me craft those templates. Now I have 5 extra minutes to just humanize it. That's all what I
Yes.
have to do.
Yeah.
But I think people have just completely forgotten.
Yes. Yeah. If you just, whenever you send a message, and you can just keep in mind that you're a human, and on the other end of that message is a human too. You're not talking to a computer, there is a human. And you can
Yeah.
just put yourself in their shoes and think like, okay, if I were to be them, how would I react to receiving this message? And if it
Yeah.
puts a smile on your face, be like, oh yeah, that's a very sweet message.
Yeah.
Yes, send it. If it's like, oh yeah, I guess this person sent me an AI generated templated message, and I would just put it in the trash can
Yeah.
and rewrite it.
Right. And there are two more things I would say, and that is not related to networking, just getting their attention, right? One is talk about the content that they posted.
Yeah,
If they are posting about anything, then you can go in their DMs and be like, hey, I loved what you wrote about it. My
100%.
comments has more insights, but I just wanted to reach out personally and be like, thank you so much for crafting this. And I know that you're sharing more of your experience and expertise, but blah, blah, blah. And then you can add your experience and expertise in it as well, right? So one is you can engage with their content, or you can send the same content, and that will be a good conversation starter. Second is if you're not connected with them, right? Because if you're not connected with them, you cannot send them any message.
Right.
That way, if you see them commenting somewhere, so for an example, you've commented on a third person's profile, right? I'm trying to stalk you and I'm trying to get attention that, wait, Teresa, I need to speak to you. We should sit together and do this, right? Then I would go on your comment and re-comment on that.
Oh, yes, good one.
Right. And then you'll be like, who is this? Because you will get a notification that somebody liked your comment and somebody commented on your comment. You're going to be like, who's Shreya? That's boom, a profile visibility. You would see me. And if you like me, you'd probably, as soon as you come to my profile, you'll see the accept and reject because I've already given you a connection request. You'll quickly be like, accept, and then we can have a conversation, right? So get their
Beautiful.
attention.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. I want to ask you the next question that we already answered in a lot of different ways, but I want to
Yeah.
ask it directly because I heard you talking about helping people land jobs before they ever post it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
obviously talked a lot about networking, but what specifically do you recommend people do to land jobs before they ever post it?
So there are two things. Okay. One is I want to talk about how all of these companies have a legal requirement to post all jobs out there, right? They cannot
Yeah.
just internally fill it. Even if they have an internal candidate, they have to post the job outside, even if it's just for one day. Okay, that's
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to clarify. Now, how do you get those jobs, or how do you get an opportunity even before it's posted, or right after it's posted? How to be that early applicant? One is to
Hmm.
know somebody from the company, always the easiest way. Obviously, we spoke about that. How to know these people, start connecting with them more, have a list of the companies that you're very interested in, so you have a very structured niche down approach, right? Second thing would be when you go in and start connecting with these hiring managers on LinkedIn in general, have like a at least 30 minutes kept aside every day to just go through everybody who has an hiring badge and then just go through that, right? Because anybody who is in hiring badge definitely is hiring at least for this week
Yeah.
or for these days, and that way you're reaching to them faster. Third way is what I would suggest is, again, if you don't have like anybody in the company, no connections whatsoever, every day almost keep on checking the career websites, because, like I'm saying, they're legally bound to post that, right? So even if they're not posting it on LinkedIn, it's not a sponsored or a promoted job, you would still see that on their career website. It
Right.
might never come out because they would probably fill it internally, or they don't want that many candidates. They kind of have an idea of what kind of candidate they want, right?
Yeah.
So then you can just go to the career website. So I think it all comes down to when you're trying to be in that space where even if the role is not out there and somebody can think of you or you can think of that role, it comes down to that structured niche approach. Because if you're thinking about 100 companies, you can't go on 100 companies website on an everyday basis, right?
Mhm.
If I know 15 or 20 are these are my companies and I cannot lose an opportunity from this, every day I'll be okay going to their career website and quickly checking that. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's what I would suggest, like a niche down structured approach.
Yeah. And you can bookmark them and have just a folder with those bookmarks, and it's going to take
Oh,
10 minutes or less to go through them.
yeah, and you can always have one tab open that says company career pages, because I think all now Chromes and everything, you can have like multiple tabs,
Yeah.
multiple labels. You can, with one label, just create something which is called company career pages, and then you can have like 15 tabs open that you only open once in a day and then keep it aside.
Yes. Question about quantity versus quality when it
Yeah.
comes to application. Where do you fall? What is your recommendation? Because especially now with AI, there's AI
Yeah.
bots who auto apply for you to 1,000 jobs a day.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a very quantity and quality balanced person, because I know a lot of time the quality will give you the interviews and the referrals, which even 100 applications and the quality might not get you, right? But when I'm saying that, I also know in this market you need quality and quantity both. You cannot just do only with quality. So I would suggest when you're thinking of quality, think of going through referrals, think of knowing somebody internally, think of updating your resume yourself, reading through the job description and making sure you have the keywords. That's quality. Could be like a couple of applications a day, right? But when I'm thinking about quantity, I'm thinking about I have a primary base resume. Everything gets applied through that, and I'm doing easy apply. I'm doing applications on LinkedIn, even if it's a 60-70% match. I'm not worried. I'm just doing it without reference, right? Because there are chances in both right now.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go one over the other. But if
Yeah.
I have to choose it, I'd probably do quality. If I have a 9 to 5 already, if I have like my hands full and job search seems very, very tricky,
Yeah.
then I would let AI do my quality applications. Sorry, I'll let AI do my quantity applications, and I'll still do my quality application, which can just be two um, applications a day with a referral, with a tailored approach to the resume, or with a tailored approach to trying to get into the company through other way than just cold application.
I agree that there's definitely a place for quantity and quality. My recommendation, and I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on it, is if you are a high match for a job,
Hmm.
not personalizing it and doing the easy apply on LinkedIn can work well because you are just such a great fit for that role that the
Yeah.
recruiter might be interested in you anyway,
Yeah.
even without the outreach, without a referral.
Yeah.
However, if you're trying to make a career pivot and you have transferable skills that you want to communicate, my take on the auto apply is don't
Mm.
even bother
Yeah.
because it needs the human touch. It needs that conversation for them to actually see the value that you bring.
Yeah.
And you will just, even if it's a short amount of time, you will waste your time with the easy apply. But I'm so curious to hear your take on that.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% that if you're doing that career transition, that the cold applications might not see a lot of response, because then your title might not match the kind of work that you've done, which is your bullet points might not match. But the good thing right now is because of the ATS and because of the inflow of the applications that recruiters are getting, which is 1,600, 1,500, 1,200 applications for one role, they're still doing a lot of filters, Teresa, right? And because they're doing the filters, and if your resume has the role or the keywords, even if you're doing that pivot, they they could still be filters that will get you in front of that recruiter or the
True.
person who's scanning it, right? But now again, if you are switching, if you're pivoting, and I don't see a lot of transferable skills, even if I see your resume after filtration, I don't see a lot of transferable skills, I might not reach out.
Yeah.
Right? So, yes, having a referral if you're career pivoting, if you have limited time, limited resources, um, quality is always better. You just need someone very good who can refer you inside the company, or where have a very good social media presence. And when I say social media, definitely not Twitter, definitely not TikTok, just social media means LinkedIn for job search. You definitely need like a very good presence there. So if I'm confused, if I'm even looking at the referral, I'm looking at your quality application, I'm not sure, I will go to your LinkedIn and check.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
So yeah, both.
When you look at someone's LinkedIn profile, what's the first place you look? If you're coming in that situation, you're like, I'm not quite sure if this
Mm.
candidate, if there's the transferable skills or not. You're landing on someone's LinkedIn profile. Where do you go first?
I'll read the about section because that's where they cannot lie. That's
Yeah.
where the transferable skills come into being like really fast. Because then I would start with like if I'm a recruiter transitioning from finance manager, the first thing I would write it 5 years of experience as finance manager, now transitioning into recruiting, right? That's where I already know that I'm still holding on to that identity really hard.
Yes.
Versus a professional with 5+ years of experience in communicating, stakeholder management, pipeline management, everything. And then I would talk about what transferable skills I'm building.
Oh, I love that. Yes. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
You
the
have,
experience, obviously. Yeah.
yes, letting go of that past identity is huge.
It is. And I'm pretty sure it's all for all of us because somehow, unfortunately, in this whole world, we attach our identity to the title that our companies have given or we have given to ourselves in the work that we do, right?
Yeah.
Anytime somebody asks, like, hey, what do you do? It's instantly that, hey, I'm a coach. No, what do you do? Just enjoy life, right? Figuring out life. Because I think we're attached to that identity. To let go of something and go into the next one, always a journey.
Yeah.
Mm.
100%. I so agree.
Yeah, yeah,
For those professionals who want to be really proactive, obviously having a really solid LinkedIn profile that communicates not just what you've done in the past, but what you want to be doing in the future.
yeah,
But if these professionals want to be even more proactive and
yeah.
they want to identify companies that might be hiring, there's no open positions that fit right now.
Mm.
But are there any signals that you're watching out for? Any strategies where you're like, okay, I think these are the companies that gonna have positions opening up in the next month or two?
Yeah, I would definitely suggest keep an eye out on the industry news in general because I think those companies talk about like a project coming up, if we're opening a store somewhere or a conference is happening, right? If something big is happening related to that company, there would definitely be some employment changes, right? Doesn't have to be only hiring, could be firing as well, but there would be some changes that would be happening. So one, I would rely a little bit on the news. Two good things that would happen. One, you would get a lot of information and knowledge just in general from the news. And second, because you would have that knowledge and information, you'd also have more things to talk about when you get into an interview, right? So there's more knowledge right there. So first, as I'll go in the news, could be Reddit, could be Google, could be Twitter. You'll just find more information there, right? Um, Second is if you go to like um, websites like Blind, um, there is so much more chatter there, right? People are very open in talking about everything because it's all anonymous, right? So you will get more information from there also because if you see like a layoff coming in, you don't want to be a part of that company, right? Because you don't know if they're hiring to fire or like if they're just hiring and then they might fire you later, kind of.
Yeah.
Third thing I would definitely look into is like have connections in the company. Don't just sit behind your computer screen and be like, wait, I applied to 100 applications. I reached out to 100 people. Nobody wants to talk, right? Have deeper conversations and connections. Because see, if you and I have a good connection, Teresa, right, for a month and we just talking like every 15 days, if you feel I'm worth it, you will connect me with your more connections, right?
100%.
Because your credibility is included in it. You would want to see versus Shreya is she
Yeah,
even worth to be introduced to somebody, right?
exactly.
That's how you build it. Now I understand what I'm talking about. It's a more long-term perspective, right? And job search is sometimes very time sensitive, either because of
Mhm.
financial reasons, because of visa, because of mental pressure, right?
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is if you have one or two good, deeper connections in the industry, you would automatically start knowing more about the industry and what's coming next through them, from them. So all three of them is what I would suggest.
I
What do
love
you,
that.
what do
And
you
that
think? Yeah.
I also think that really speaks to don't drop your network the moment you have a new job.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's opposite. Opposite.
probably the biggest mistakes people make. And I get it from a like, "Ah, I landed a job. Now I don't need to do all this extra work."
Yeah, yeah. And I'm so glad that you said that. I'll add one more thing here. If you've got a job, right? The minute you get a job, draft a template. I don't care. Draft a template. Reach out to everybody that you had a conversation during your job search and tell them that, hey, that one piece of advice that you gave me really helped in the interview and try personalizing that. So if I would sit with you and be like, Teresa, that was such a great point that what is it, when you were talking about, it's okay if you can't go in-person networking, you would start virtual. That was very helpful. So that I really appreciate you giving me that advice. And now that I have a job at Salesforce, I wanted to reach out and say thank you. Couldn't have been possible without that one tip that you gave me, right? Boom,
Wow.
right? I'm no more a job seeker asking for a transactional conversation. I'm now a professional, just where now we have a warmer connection and less transactional maybe.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah.
it's
So like
not that you
reach
will
out to
have,
all of them.
I
Sorry.
love that. And
Yeah.
it's not that you have to sit on your computer hours a day and network, but making 30 minutes a month, even blocking that on your calendar to reach out to 5 people you connected with over the last year to keep that conversation going, do it. And
Yes.
also in the economic times we're in, with all the uncertainty and unpredictability, the time to build your network is when you don't need a job. That's the time
Yes.
to network, and you'll be
I
so glad
love
to.
that line.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I got very excited. I love that line when you said that time to build your network is when you don't need a job. Love that. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yes. And you'll be so glad that you did that the moment you do need a job.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because I think all the jobs that I have gotten, Teresa, is through the network that I built. Like the last job that I had at Uber, somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn, the director of talent acquisition. We had a very brief conversation. I got into the call. Like within literally 7 days, I had an offer. I
Wow.
wasn't even looking, but better offer. I loved my manager. Like when I spoke with her, I was like, wait, she's fabulous. I want to work with her.
Wow.
And then she agreed, right? That wait, let's get you to the loop, like if you're interested. And I was like, let's just do that. So it did come to the personal branding that I have, obviously on LinkedIn, but then also through just a conversation. Because when he reached out, I was not looking for a job. I could have absolutely happily ignored that message, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, would love to, not searching for a job, not looking to switch, but would love to understand what you have to offer. That was literally my message back to him, right? So I loved what you just said, like absolutely loved it that the best time to build a network is when you're not looking for a job.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, like, recruiters sometimes reach out to you on LinkedIn
Yeah.
for a job you're not interested or at a time you're not interested. Respond with kindness. Even if you're looking and you get, I hear that from people, like, I get annoyed because I only get these types of jobs offered, or people only reach out for these types of job. Write a friendly message back and be like, thank you so much for reaching out. I really, really appreciate that you landed on my profile. This isn't quite the direction I'm heading into.
Yeah.
I'm looking to do A, B, and C for my next step because I want to build on these transferable skills.
Yeah.
You know of any openings in that space?
Yeah.
Use that outreach or the example you gave. Beautiful. Even though you're
Yeah.
not looking for a role,
Yeah.
build that relationship.
Yeah, yeah, because you can always pass it on to somebody else. Like, I'm not looking for it right now, and I still have like a lot of recruiters reach out to me for jobs, right? Either on my, I have like maybe 5 voicemails sitting from this week, and then I have like a bunch of in-mails sitting. When I reply to them, I just say that, hey, I'm not looking for it right now, though I have like a couple of profiles that I can share with you if you're interested. They would be a very good fit, right? And then I just share the profile with them. I don't make connections. It's not a forceful thing that you have to speak to somebody on my account, but these are the two people. At least they'll get visibility and they might be interested, right? So you can always be the matchmaker, the networker if you're not on the networking side right now, right? Yeah.
Yes. There's so many different ways of creating connections and building relationships,
Yeah.
especially when it already lands in your inbox, that
Yeah.
you don't want to pass up on.
Yeah, and it's an easy way. And I understand. And then when we're talking about all of these, I'm thinking as a professional, wait, I have a 9 to 5. I have so much to do. Where do I have time to like sit and do this, right? I would always remember the time when you did not have a 9 to 5 and you were just hoping for that one reply from somebody, right?
Yes.
Do not let the other person waiting for your reply. Every
Yes.
day, if you don't have time to reply to 10 messages, start with 2 messages. Just do the first two, right? Then the next is next two. You'll at least build an habit of not completely ignoring somebody, but at least giving the best with the time that you have in your hands.
Yes. Yeah. And you never know because the tables can turn so quickly. I just worked with a client and she actually landed a job. So there was a connection. The connection reached out to her for help and she responded and made an introduction. It didn't lead anywhere, but she helped that person. I
Yeah.
think it was like 5, 6 years later,
Hmm.
the tables were turned and she asked
Yeah.
him for help and he made the introduction that landed to a job.
Yeah. There you
So
go. Yeah.
exactly. You just help people when you can. If you have the ability, take this 2 minutes to respond to a message and help, because
Yeah.
there will be a day when you need the help, and then you, one, build your network, and two, more people are going to be open to helping you as well.
Absolutely. And I really want to put it out there that networking is a long-term game. It's a compounding effect.
Yeah.
If we are thinking everything needs to have a result today or tomorrow, then you probably have wrong expectations from it.
Yes,
Networking is definitely compounding and it definitely has a lot more results over a period of time. So you
I
just got to
agree.
keep doing it consistently.
That is such a perfect place to leave off. Shreya, thank you for sharing so much wisdom. Where can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I loved every bit of it. They can connect with me on LinkedIn, Coach Shreya Mehta, Coach, and then my first name and last name. Same thing on my Instagram, Coach Shreya Mehta. I also have a website which is 𝗘𝗽𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀. That's the name of my business, where we have like amazing resources like templates. We have interview documents. We have like a lot of resources. We have great ebooks on LinkedIn. A lot of things that we spoke about is there in that book and so much more. So those are the three places that they can actually find me.
I love that. We're going to make sure to link all of that in the show notes so it's easy
Thank
for
you.
people to find you. And you have to follow Shreya. I love your content. That's how we connected.
Yes, yay,
Find your
networking.
content. I'm like, oh my God, this person is amazing. I need to talk to her. And this brought us here today. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. An amazing, amazing discussion. Thanks,
Thank you.
Teresa.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Career Clarity Unlocked. If this conversation gave you even just one moment of, oh yeah, I have been overcomplicating this, then I want you to remember you do not need to be perfect. What you do need to do is be present, consistent, and yes, you do need to be a little bit brave. And confidence comes from repetition. It does not come from waiting until you're ready or until you're perfect. And if this episode made you think, okay, I should network, but wait, I don't even know who to network with or what I actually want next. Or if you're in this place of thinking, yeah, I've built a successful career, but this can't be all there is. But I also don't know what it is that would fill my cup. Then this is your sign. Join my free live career vision board workshop. It is happening today, February 24th, and for the very last time this week, Thursday, the 26th. It is a 90-minute workshop in which you'll get clear on what you're actually moving toward, not just what you're trying to escape from. And you will walk away with a finished career vision board and a concrete direction that you can act on. So if you're tired and feeling drained and wondering, what if I waste another year? I want you to register right now. I am hosting this live. It is free, and I'm even including a replay for you. The link to register is in the show notes. And of course, don't forget to join me again next week for another episode full of insights, inspiration, and actionable advice on finding a career you love. Because you shouldn't and you don't have to settle. Keep chasing what makes you come alive, and I'll see you back here next week on Career Clarity Unlocked. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Career Clarity Unlocked. If you're feeling stuck in that what's next spiral and are ready to finally break free, let's chat. You can book your free career clarity call where we'll uncover what's really important to you, tackle any obstacles holding you back, and map out your best next step. Schedule your free 30-minute call today on careerbloomcoaching.com. And before you head out, be sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so you never miss an episode. If today's conversation gave you new insights and inspiration, please leave a review. It really helps us reach more amazing listeners like you. And don't forget to share this episode with a friend or on social media. Your support truly means the world. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.